So good morning. This is optical fiber communication DET 3202. Course outcomes. The students will be able to understand the different communication media, various blocks and applications of optical fiber communication system. The students will be able to understand the optics rules and measure the optical fiber cable parameters. Students will be able to identify suitable optical source for a given application. Students will be able to identify suitable optical detectors for the application. Students will be able to identify suitable connectors and measure the losses of the optical fiber cable. Students will be able to understand architecture of the optical network for a given application. So as we have already discussed all these details, fiber connectors are there for connecting the fiber splices, and demountable fiber connectors are the two types. For fiber splices are semi-permanent, permanent, and demountable are easy and faster, and manual coupling is possible, and they are removable. So couplers are also there along with this. Couplers are one fiber to multiple fiber to one fiber, combiner or sharing mechanism. So splicing is a permanent joint. Two types of the splicing. Fusion splicing is there, mechanical splicing is there. So we are going fast because we are revising it. We already discussed 2-3 times. Fusion splicing is with the help of electrical arc, and mechanical splicing is with the help of some mechanical mechanism. Mechanical means like tube around the fiber or V-groove. So before splicing we have to prepare the fiber end, that is fiber end preparation, and we have to align the fibers. Fusion splice continuity is there, no large step change is there. And mechanical splicing, there is a gap in between the fibers, very micro gap, micrometric gap is there, but index matching fluid can be used to make it continuous so that there will not be any loss. So splicing is that way. Fusion splicing is difficult, but nowadays the field usable equipment, that is portable equipments, are available, and which are automatic and very accurate. The end preparation in which the end faces are smooth and square are required. Square means perpendicular to the axis. This is not perpendicular to the axis, so this is slanting, but it requires the perpendicular exactly. So this is the axis, the end face should be perpendicular. So this is called square. Smooth and square fiber ends are required. The general end preparation is achieved using the suitable tool, and these are scribe and break and score and break. So this is the tool shown here. Knife is there, and under tension the fiber is kept, and then whenever the cut is initiated by the knife edge, due to the tension it propagates into the fiber, and fiber is then cut. So knife is of sapphire, diamond, tungsten, carbide blade. So cable and the buffer coating are removed, and they are positioned in the aligned way, and then the heat is applied. So this is the fiber fusion splicing. So normally microplasma is there with the torches having the flames of argon, hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, alcohol vapor, but better is the electrical arc. So this is the fixed block, movable block, V-groove, electrical electrodes, Then macro positioners are there to have the fusion splicing, and there are 4 steps: initial setting, arrangement of the smooth surface by pre-fusion, then applying the heat arc, then accomplishing the splice. So actually rounding up the end fiber ends are there with the pre-fusion in the fusion technique, and though no end phase preparation is required. So this is the distinct advantage. So it is 5 and 10 micrometer fibers. It is problem of critical alignment. Lateral offset less than 1 micrometer is required for better performance, that is very low loss, and splice insertion loss below 0.3 can be achieved with due to self alignment phenomena. There is a physics property which is helping in this, that offsets are automatically removed with the surface tension, and which is called self alignment. So this is self alignment. Self alignment is caused by surface tension, and mean splice loss is only 0.06 dB can be achieved with this. Fusion splicing, there is a surface damage, then the defect growth is there, and then the chemical composition changes are there, and residential stresses are developed, and it requires packaging external to provide the strength after the fusion splicing in that localized area. So mechanical splicing, if you see, the end fibers are permanently bonded with some rigid alignment tube. The snug tube may be used, and epoxy resin may be placed to have the index matching as well as protecting from the environmental factors like dust and moisture, and same time it is used as a bonding. And there is a V-groove type splices also there. V-groove splicing is having the V-groove and holding the fiber in the two plates will make the permanent mechanical joint. Field implementation that will sometimes is difficult, and housing avoids additional losses due to the fiber bending. So V-groove splice have proved quite successful by giving very low insertion loss of 0.1 dB. Variant of the V-groove is also there, and that is elastic tube, which is elastomeric splice it is called. It is having two elastomeric internal parts, elastic parts, and one of them is having V-groove also. So this is the tube. If it is cross section, it is tube, and these are the two elastomeric parts, and this is the fiber. One of the part is having the V-groove. So here we can see one part, second part, and one part is having V-groove, and this is the external tube. So outer sleeve holds the elastic parts, and compression is ensured to align the fiber in the V-groove, and fiber with different diameter can be connected and successfully can be spliced, and it can offer 0.12 dB and 0.25 dB for commercial product on the field. If index matching material is used, it can have the further reduction in the loss. So demountable fibers are difficult because they have to maintain the same tolerance of the splicing, and at the same time these connectors are removable. It is used in a removable fashion, so they have to have double the responsibility, we can say, to maintain that quality and to have the removable fashion use. Then connector design must allow repeated connection disconnection. Repeated connection disconnection leads to degradation of the performance, and it is also produce the performance effects, that is low loss. Then connector should ideally be low cost component. Connector can be fitted with relative ease In order to maintain optimum performance, it should be protecting the fiber ends from the damage, in handling the connection disconnection. It should be insensitive to the environmental factors, moisture and dust, and coping with the tensile load also. These three requirements are there to maintain the optimum performance by the connectors. Then optical fiber connectors may be considered in the three major areas. When the fiber is termination is there to protect and locate it, and fiber end alignment is there in the optimum coupling of the fiber, and the outer shell maintains the connections and the fiber alignment and protects the fiber ends from the environment. Wherever such situation is there, protection is required, you can use the connector. So this is the one of the cylindrical ferrule connector, which is having the ferrules, which is having the alignment sleeve, which is having the connector shell. These are the optical fiber, and this is the spring, retaining spring. This is the construction. It is basic ferrule connection, and it is referred to as concentric sleeve connections, and it is simplest design. The two fibers connected are permanently bonded with the epoxy resin in this also, and for ferrule have accurately drilled central hole and back face end faces where the stripped buffer coating removed fiber is located. Two ferrules are placed in the alignment sleeve using the accurately machined components. Ferrules allow the fiber ends to be butt joined, and ferrules held in place by retaining mechanism with the spring. So it is essential in this case, because it is mechanical splicing, it is essential to have the end face preparation, and ends must be square and that is perpendicular and smooth. So this is one more expanded beam connector, in that the lenses are used. Lenses can collimate the beam, and lenses can refocus the beam. So this is the illustration of expanded beam connection. This is the alternative to the direct butt joints, and the connector consists of two lenses of collimating and refocusing the light, and using the interposed optics make achievement of the lateral alignment and the longitudinal alignments less critical, less important, but it is required very stringent angular alignment. So expanded beam connectors are used in the multi-fiber connection in the PCB, edge connection in the PCB, and printed circuit board, where the lateral and longitudinal alignments are frequently difficult to achieve. In those situations, expanded beam connectors are very much useful. So this is the expanded beam connector, which uses the micro lenses of the dimension quite large as compared to the dimension of the fibers, and they are coated with anti-reflective coating, and they can have the very low loss. So these spheres, that lenses, spherical lenses, may have 2.5 millimeter diameter, and they can exhibit 1 dB to 0.7 dB and with anti-reflective coating application, this loss, and it can be used in 50 micrometer diameter. Again, anti-reflective coated lenses of can offer 0.7 dB loss, and for the fiber 8 micrometer port. So these are some of the examples. Further, 250 micrometer diameter sapphire ball lens is used, and in this case also the losses ranges from 0.4 to 0.7 for 1000 connections. So one more expanded beam connector assembly is there. Instead of two different lenses, single lens is used with a lens alignment sleeve. There is a ferrule, there is a grommet, there is a spring to make the adjustments angularly and displacement wise also for the lens. And very micro adjustments can be done for the alignment in the expanded beam connectors to have the perfect alignment and minimum loss. So here the molded spherical lens is used instead of two different lenses, and positioned approximately at focal length of the lens for obtaining the collimated beam to minimize the lens to lens longitudinal misalignment. Lens alignment sleeve is used for minimizing the effect of angular misalignment to adjust the lens orientation. Together with the ferrule, grommet, spring, external housing provides the complete connector, and repeatability in relation to the straightforward lens design was found to be good and incurring losses around 0.7 dB. So there is one more connector, that is green rod connector, that is the graded index lenses are there. Their length is wavelength wise selected, that is 0.25 pitch wavelength, or we can say period of wave. Okay, so total period is suppose t, then t by 4 is 0.25 pitch, t by 2 is 0.5 pitch, 3t by 4 is 0.75 pitch, and so on. So 0.25 pitch, 0.23 pitch, 0.29 pitch are available, 0.5 pitch and 0.75 pitch are also available. Due to the graded index profile, the beams are sinusoidally adjusted. They can be collimated according to the pitch, but due to the limitation, practical limitation, it can have the slight divergence, which is called a divergence angle alpha, and that may vary from 1 degree to 5 degree. So alternative lens geometry is there, and it facilitates efficient beam expansion and collimation, and expanded beam connectors can be useful. So made up of the graded index rod lenses having the focusing property of such macro lens device is also enabled in application in both fiber couplers and source to fiber coupling. So it can be used in fiber coupler, source to fiber, fiber to detector, and fiber to fiber is also possible. So emerging from development of the graded index fiber wavelength that comprises a cylindrical glass rod typically 0.2 to 2 millimeter diameter and exhibit a parabolic refractive index profile. So green rod lenses have propagation through the lens determined by lens dimension and wavelength of the light also. Because green rod lenses sinusoidal traverse of the optical beam is there, so lens dimension can be cut such that it can start diverging and it can end with the collimated beam, and it can start the collimated beam and it can end with the focused beam. And also it is dependent on the wavelength. So green rod lenses can produce collimated output beam with divergence angle alpha between 1 to 5 degree. So lens source is placed situated on or near to the opposite face. So conversely, green rod lens can focus also, and typically launched from 50 micrometer diameter fiber core using the green rod lens result in collimated beam between 0.5 to 1 mm. So green rod lens can have 1 mm to 0.5 mm and dimensions as compared to 50 micrometer fibers. So refractive index variation with the radius therefore causes the input rays to follow the sinusoidal path. Okay, and different pitches 0.25, 0.23, 0.29 can be obtained. So 0.25, the focal points are exactly on the surface, so it is maybe becoming difficult for adjustment. So it can collimate, it can refocus, but in 0.23 the focal point is remaining outside the lens, and it is easier to adjust the fiber at the focal point. So 0.23 is there, and it can also collimate and diverge, but 0.29 is having collimation and diversion in single lens. So two different lenses are not used, and again the focal points are outside the lens. Both the advantages are there in 0.29. So it can also collimate, it can also focus. Along with 0.25, 0.23, 0.29, 0.5 and 0.75 are also available, and its dimensions are range from 0.5 to 2 mm, and fibers are in the micrometer. They are having different numerical aperture also, 0.75, 0.46. The number of factors cause divergence in the collimated is error in the lens cut length, finite size of the fiber core, and chromatic aberration. So as small as 1 degree can be achieved, and less losses around 1 dB can be achieved. So couplers are devices that distribute the light from main fiber to more branches. Multiple fiber distribution is more normal, and such devices are known as multi-port fiber couplers. The requirements are increasing for use of these devices to combine optical signals for application within the optical fibers. So where the such couplers are useful are in the data buses, LANs, computer networks, and telecommunication access networks. Two types of the couplers are there: core interaction and surface interaction. So through core cross section there will be interaction, and through surface cross section, normal to axis, the interaction is there. Power sharing is there, optical power sharing. Then multi-port optical fiber couplers can also be subdivided into three main groups, that is 3 and 4 port couplers, star couplers, wavelength division multiplexing WDM devices. So 3 port couplers are having one main fiber and 2 signal carrying fibers, or 2 signal carrying fibers and combined into single fiber. So this can be useful in the distributing the signal. 3 and 4 ports will have 2 fibers, a combined main fiber, and again 2 fibers. So those 2 fibers can combine in single fiber, and this single fiber can take to other location receiver, and there it can again be distributed. So this is 4 port couplers. Similarly, star coupler, a main fiber is there and many other fibers, branching fibers are there. So this is star coupler. So 1 to N, okay, or similarly M or N to 1, combining also is possible. So many to 1, okay. So this is also star coupler. So star combiner, star distributor. Similarly, there is wavelength division multiplexing, that is single fiber can be connected with lambda 1, added with lambda 1 as well as lambda 2. So 2 wavelengths can be simultaneously going propagating lambda 1 plus lambda 2 in the single fiber, and again they can be separated as lambda 1 and lambda 2. So and can be connected to the appropriate receiver, where receiver for lambda 1 will receive the lambda 1, receiver for lambda 2 will receive the lambda 2. So the infrastructure is shared. So long distance, long haul infrastructure is shared. In within same fiber, multiple wavelengths can be propagated. This is called wavelength division multiplexing. So for example, it is given here lambda 1 plus lambda 2, but multiple wavelengths can be shared. So 3 and 4 port couplers are there, star couplers are there, wavelength division multiplexing are there, and all these are helping in the distribution, sharing of the information. So 3 and 4 port couplers, these are used in the signal splitting, distribution and combining. Star couplers, these are generally used for distributing a single input signal to multiple outputs. And wavelength division multiplexing WDM devices, these are specialized form of coupler designed to permit number of different peak wavelength optical signals, that is lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, lambda 4. These peak wavelength signals are there to be transmitted in parallel in single fiber. In same fiber use, a single fiber is there, and parallelly multiple signals can be transmitted. It is WDM coupler. So that is wavelength division coupler. So in context with WDM coupler, either combine the different wavelength optic signal into fiber, it is called multiplexing, or separating the different wavelength signal fiber, it is called the demultiplexing is there. So two operations are there in the WDM, multiplexing and demultiplexing. Multiplexing is combining the signal with different signals into single fiber, and demultiplexing is separating out different wavelengths from combination of the wavelengths. Similarly, in the 3-port couplers, star couplers, there is a combiner and splitter. These two operations is there. Combining is there, splitting is there. In WDM, multiplexing is there, demultiplexing is there. What is the difference in between these? Splitting is signal is coming on main fiber, and this signal on main fiber is distributed among many fibers. Same signal is distributed, just like the television program. Same program you can distribute on many televisions. Okay, but in WDM, wavelength division multiplexation, each subscriber will require different signal, just like the internet connection, just like the mobile connection, telephonic connections. One subscriber signal is not useful, having the same signal with the other subscriber user. So in that case, multiple signals are there and multiplex the signal are used. So WDM is there. Same signal is shared with the different user, that is couplers, 3-port, 4-port couplers, star couplers. But different signals are parallelly carried out and they are shared for appropriate user, that is WDM, wavelength division multiplexing. There is the multiplexing and demultiplexing, and here it is splitting and combining of the signal. So this is about the couplers, 3-port coupler, star coupler and wavelength division multiplexing devices. So this is the figure for the optical fiber coupler types and their functions. So in that it is 3-port coupler. So one port is there, one more port is there, and one more port is there. So 1, 2, 3. Similarly here 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 ports. So here main fiber signal is splitted into 2 fibers. So it is called splitter. In second figure, 2 fiber signals are arriving at a junction and it is combined in single fiber. So it is combiner. So this is 3-port couplers. Similarly, 4-port coupler is there, optical fiber coupling type and functions, 4-port coupler. So there is 1 port, there is 2nd port, there is 3rd port, there is 4th port. So this is a coupler, 4-port coupler you can say, 4-port coupler. So one port is having the signal, 2nd port is having the signal, both are combined, and combined signal will flow on the common path, and the signal can be splitted in 3 and 4. So this is 4-port coupler. Similarly, there is a star coupler. M or N number of fibers are there joined at the junction. There may be M or N number of fibers are there joined at the junction. This form a star structure in the LAN also. Isn't it? Local area network, it forms a star structure. So all these fibers, M number of fibers or N number of fibers, signals are combined in the single fiber. Then that is carried over from transmitter to receiver, from one location to other location. and again it is splitted into n number of fibers. So from m to n, m or n number of fibers, it is shared in n number of fibers. This is called star couplers, and it is useful in the networks which is using the optical backbone, optical fiber infrastructure for the networking, in the computer networking. So this is a star coupler. Then there is a wavelength division multiplexing, WDM, in which lambda 1 is there in one branch, lambda 2 is there in the another branch. Both these wavelengths are shared on single fiber, lambda 1 plus lambda 2. This is wavelength multiplexing, wavelength multiplexer. Similarly, there is a lambda 1 and lambda 2 flowing on the same fiber, main fiber, and then it is shared one wavelength with one fiber and second wavelength with a second fiber. It is called wavelength demultiplexing. So wavelength multiplexer is there, wavelength demultiplexer is there. So these are the two processes or two devices, multiplexer, demultiplexer, in the wavelength division multiplexing, WDM. So multiplexing is there, demultiplexing is there in WDM, and WDM is very, very useful, as we have seen, because it can have very large bandwidth in terahertz, isn't it? We have seen it in the previous lectures. So optical fiber couplers, while distributing the light among the branch fiber, offers scattering loss or generation of the noise. Couplers will introduce the scattering loss and generation of the noise, because it is a coupler, and scattering is due to the inhomogeneity. We have seen scattering is due to inhomogeneity, and as it is a coupler, one fiber is coupled to multiple fibers, there is inhomogeneity in making this junction, fusing and connecting, or maybe mechanically having that coupling. So one fiber to multiple fiber joint will have inhomogeneity at that junction, isn't it? And inhomogeneity is always scattering the light, and that will generate the noise also. Unevenness in the fiber is also generating the noise. So scattering loss and noise is there. This affects the performance of optical fiber network. In particularly, fiber scattering loss at the coupler limits the number of terminals connected. Alternatively, span of the network. If number of connectors, that is M or N, isn't it, in star couplers, how many number of fibers can be combined, how many number of fibers can be distributed, that is having the limit. So the scattering loss limits the number of terminals that can be connected, and that is span of the network in the computer network is limited. And second is generation of noise and modal effects can cause the problems in specification of network performance. So noise and modal effects degrades the network performance specifications. The major factor causing fiber intrinsic loss is mismatch in fiber core diameter. Okay, so after coupler we are going to the intrinsic coupling losses related to coupler. Intrinsic coupling losses at fiber joints or fiber intrinsic losses. Whenever two fibers are joined, so what are the different losses? If these two fibers are having different diameter, if two fibers are having different refractive index profile, okay, So if these two fibers are not matching, that is, one is having numerical aperture Na1, another is having numerical aperture Na2. Okay. So in that way there is a mismatch. So the major factors causing the fiber intrinsic losses are caused due to mismatch in the fiber core diameter, then mismatch in the fiber numerical aperture, and mismatch in the index profiles, that is differing in the fiber refractive index profile, that is alpha. One is having alpha 1, another fiber is having alpha 2. So we know the alpha is the refractive index profile controlling parameter. So alpha can be infinity to make it step index fiber, and alpha can be 0, alpha can be 2, triangular, alpha can be 10 for parabolic profile, isn't it? So these are the fiber intrinsic losses, and those are causing due to the mismatch in core diameter, mismatch in the fiber numerical aperture, and differing the refractive index profile. Same is shown in this figure. Intrinsic coupling losses at fiber joints, or fiber intrinsic losses it is. Some intrinsic coupling losses are shown here in figure A, figure B, and figure C. Figure A, core diameter mismatch is there. Figure B, numerical aperture mismatch is there. Figure C, refractive index profile difference is there. That means one fiber is having, first is core diameter mismatch. One fiber is having different diameter, another fiber is having different diameter. This is mismatch in the core dimension. One fiber is having one diameter and other is having different diameter. This is the diameter mismatch, core diameter mismatch. What is interesting in this is, if the transmitting or source fiber is having higher diameter and receiving fiber, that is fiber which receives the optical power from the previous, is having a less diameter, then there will not be any loss, or there will be great loss. But if the fiber diameter, transmitting fiber diameter, is having less dimension and receiving fiber is having the core dimensions larger than that, so in this case the transmitting fiber is completely covered by the receiving fiber and there will not be any loss. Whenever the source fiber is having less diameter than the receiving fiber, there will not be any loss. But whenever there is a source fiber diameter is large and receiving fiber diameter is small, there will be loss, optical loss. Okay. So this is the core diameter mismatch. Similarly, numerical aperture mismatch. If suppose one fiber is having Na1 numerical aperture and other fiber is having Na2 numerical aperture, this is numerical aperture mismatch. In this case also, the transmitting fiber is having less numerical aperture and receiving fiber is having large numerical aperture, it will be having no loss. But if the transmitting fiber is having large numerical aperture and receiving fiber is having less numerical aperture, then there will be mismatch and loss. And third is refractive index profile difference. One fiber is having alpha 1 profile, second is having the alpha 2 profile. So profile controlling parameters are different, then there will be loss. And these losses can be written in the formulated. assuming that numerical aperture and index profiles are same, there are three different mismatches: diameter mismatch, numerical aperture mismatch, and index profile mismatch. Assuming other two are same, that is no mismatch is there. Numerical aperture of both fibers are same, refractive index profile of both fibers are same. Assume that. Then loss is due to mismatch of core diameter. Core diameter is different. Only one is different. Then loss can be written as loss core diameter, CD, core diameter, minus 10 log to the base 10 A2 upon A1 square in decibels, where A2 is less than A1. Where A2 is less than A1. And if A2 is more than A1, there will not be any loss. If receiving fiber is covering completely the transmitting fiber, source fiber, then there will not be any loss, zero loss will be there. So if the receiving fiber is having less diameter than transmitting fiber, then there will be loss, and it is minus 10 log to the base A2 upon A1, where A1 A2 are the core radii or core diameter respectively. If you take radii, that is okay. If you take diameter, that is okay, because it's a ratio. Radii is nothing but d by 2, so by 2 will cancel, or diameter is 2 times radii, so 2 get cancelled, because it is a ratio. So you can take radii or diameters also, both are correct. So when numerical aperture and index profiles are considered constant, then loss resulting from mismatch of core diameter is given by this formula, minus 10 log to the base A2 upon A1, where A2 and A1 are diameters or radii. It may be observed from the equation, no loss is incurred if receiving fiber has larger core diameter than the transmitting. No loss when receiving fiber has larger core diameter than transmitting fiber. Okay. In addition, only a relatively small loss, 0.09 dB, is observed when receiving fiber core diameter is 1% smaller than transmitting fiber. Slight difference is there. But for large difference, loss will be large. Then second, assuming with equivalent refractive index profile and core diameters. Core diameter is same and refractive index profile is same. Mismatch is with numerical aperture. Mismatch is with numerical aperture. Then loss NA, numerical aperture, NA. Loss NA is given as minus 10 log to the base 10 NA2 upon NA1 square. Minus log base to the 10 NA2 upon NA1 square is dB, where NA2 is less than NA1. That is, receiving fiber refractive numerical aperture is less than the source fiber, whereas the receiving fiber is having larger refractive index or equal refractive index to the source fiber, there will not be any loss. Same condition, that of the diameter. If receiving fiber is having larger or same diameter, no loss. Similarly, receiving fiber is having larger or same numerical aperture, no loss. But if receiving fiber is having small diameter or receiving fiber is having small numerical aperture, there will be loss, where NA1 and NA2 are the numerical apertures for transmitting and receiving fibers respectively. Okay. So these are the two conditions we have checked. And in this second condition, when the transmitting fiber has higher numerical aperture than the receiving fiber, okay, higher numerical aperture. When the transmitting fiber has higher numerical aperture than the receiving fiber, then some of the emitted light rays will fall outside the acceptance angle of receiving fiber, and they will be therefore not coupled through the joint. So if the receiving fiber is having lesser numerical aperture, so acceptance angle will not cover all the acceptance angle of the transmitting fiber, and some of the rays from the transmitting fiber will fall outside the acceptance angle of the receiving fiber, and that's why the rays will be lost. An equation is valid for both step and gradient index fiber. So these equations are valid for step and gradient. In case of gradient index fiber, numerical aperture of the optical fiber of axis is used. So numerical aperture at axis is used in the calculation. At axis the refractive index is maximum, and at that numerical aperture is used. These equations demonstrate that no losses occur when receiving parameter, that is numerical aperture, is greater than transmitting. Same to diameter. Receiving is having greater diameter, receiving having greater numerical aperture, no loss is there. And third is assuming core diameter, numerical aperture same. If core diameter is assumed same, numerical aperture is same, then the loss resulting from mismatch of refractive index profile. Refractive index profiles are different. In that the loss is given as loss Ri, refractive index loss Ri. Okay, loss Ri minus 10 log to the base 10 alpha 2 into alpha 1 plus 2 divided by alpha 1 into alpha 2 plus 2. So this is the formula. Minus 10 log to the base 10 alpha 2 into alpha 1 by 2 alpha 1 plus 2 divided by alpha 1 into alpha 2 plus 2. Here the alpha 2 is less than alpha 1. So receiving profile parameter is less than transmitting refractive index profile parameter. And if the receiving refractive index parameter is same or more than the transmitting refractive index parameter, there will be no loss. So alpha 1 and alpha 2 are profile parameters for transmitting and receiving respectively. When connecting from step index fiber with alpha 1 equal to infinity to parabolic fiber, graded index fiber with alpha 2 equal to 2, so alpha 2 is small than alpha 1. Alpha 2 is small than alpha 1, so there will be loss. Both having same core diameter and axial numerical aperture, then loss of 3 dB is produced. In worst case, that is triangular refractive index profile and step index fiber, from step index triangular refractive index fiber is receiving, then 3 dB loss is produced. So which is quite large loss. What is 3 dB loss? Whatever the power is there, that gets half. 3 dB means half. Okay. So if you calculate Pi upon Po minus 10 log to the base 10 Pi upon Po, Pi is double than Po. Okay. Then you will get 3 dB. The reverse connection, however, does not incur any loss, because in reverse connection the graded index fiber alpha 2 is 2 and step index fiber receiving, that is alpha, is infinity. So alpha receiving is larger than alpha transmitting, so it will not have any loss. Now intrinsic losses obtained at multi-mode fiber joints provided combined into single expression. The intrinsic losses obtained at multi-mode fiber joints, which is provided by 3 mismatches, is combined into single expression, that is intrinsic loss, INT. So this loss INT is intrinsic losses due to the diameter mismatch, numerical aperture mismatch, refractive index profile mismatch, all 3 together. It is called loss INT, loss int. It is combination of all this formula, combination of all this. Minus 10 log to the base 10 A2 into Na2 square into alpha 1 plus 2 into alpha 2 divided by A1 into Na1 square into alpha 2 plus 2 into alpha 1. All the formulae combined together. And conditions A2 less than A1, Na2 less than Na1 and alpha 2 less than alpha 1. And loss intrinsic is 0 if A2 is more than or equal to A1, Na2 is more than or equal to Na1 and alpha 2 is more than or equal to alpha 1. And it should be noted that there will be 3 mismatches together. all the three mismatches are together. All the three mismatches are occurring. So this is about the intrinsic joint loss, fiber joint loss. So after the fiber parameter mismatch, there is also loss due to the material. What is loss due to the material? The material absorption loss. Material absorption loss is there. Okay. What is material absorption loss? It is related to material composition. So what are the constituents in the material? What are the different ingredients are there in the material? Maybe silica is there, maybe phosphor is there, maybe some halides are there, isn't it? Some other material is there which is useful in the refractive index profile controlling. So what is the material composition is there? Related to that, the material these losses are there. And what is the fabrication process for the fiber? There are different fabrication processes for the fiber. The fibers are using the liquid phase molten mass type of the fiber manufacturing process, or it may be using the vapor phase fiber manufacturing process. So depending on that, the which process of the fiber is used, fabrication process, that also have the material absorption loss mechanism. So it is related to material composition and fabrication process for the fiber. Material absorption loss mechanism. So result in the dissipation of some of the transmitted optical power as a heat in the waveguide. So what it makes the absorption loss? As it is absorption loss mechanism, absorption of the optical energy. If the optical energy is absorbed by the material, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. What will happen to that optical energy? Suppose 1 photon, 100 photons are running, propagating, and suppose 1 photon is absorbed, 2 photons are absorbed, 5 photons are absorbed. What happens to those photons? Energy is absorbed by the material. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. The photons cannot be destroyed by the material. So absorbed means the energy is absorbed by atomic structure. That may release the electron and that may have the lattice vibration. And that lattice vibration, molecular vibration, is mechanical conversion, optical to mechanical conversion. And further that lattice vibration releases the thermal energy to stabilize the lattice. Okay, that molecular structure stabilizes and it releases that energy as a thermal energy. So optical to mechanical to thermal conversion is there. So conversion of the energy is there. So this absorption results in dissipation of some of the transmitted optical power as a heat in the waveguide. See, optical fiber is a waveguide. So material absorbs the optical energy due to the material composition defects or fabrication process problem, and this absorbed optical energy results as a dissipation. They get dissipated and get converted into thermal energy. So this absorption has of the light may be either intrinsic or extrinsic. Okay, there are two types. Absorption of the light may be intrinsic or extrinsic. If the term intrinsic is considered, it will be related to the intrinsic material, because these are the material absorptions, isn't it? This is material absorption in the silica glass fiber. This is the material absorption loss. So intrinsic related to the intrinsic material, extrinsic related to extrinsic material. That means intrinsic means pure material, extrinsic means impurities in that. Remember, intrinsic means the pure material and extrinsic means obviously impurity in that. We are studying this for semiconductor also, intrinsic, extrinsic. Same is there in the glass. In the glass also, the material of the glass itself is intrinsic, and material which is contaminating the glass is material which are impurities in the glass is extrinsic. So according to that, the material which causes the loss mechanism, loss of the photons, loss of the optical energy, optical power is intrinsic loss, and material which is extrinsic that causes the loss is extrinsic loss mechanism. So material absorption is a loss mechanism. Material absorption is a loss mechanism, and it is of two types. One is intrinsic loss, another is extrinsic loss. Intrinsic caused by interaction with one or more of major component of the glass. Glass is multi-component material, isn't it? Glass is multi-component material mixture, and there are multiple components in the glass: silicon oxide, germanium oxide, some phosphor, halides, F is there, fluorine glass, okay, boron is there. So in case of intrinsic, it is caused by interaction with one or more of major component of the glass. Component of the glass itself interact with photon. It is intrinsic loss. In extrinsic case, it is caused by impurities within the glass. Obviously, it is due to the impurity within the glass. Okay. It is due to the one or more component of the glass, intrinsic, and impurity, extrinsic. Then what is intrinsic absorption losses? Intrinsic absorption losses. An absolutely pure silicate glass has little intrinsic absorption, very small intrinsic absorption. Absolute pure silicate glass is there, and it has very little intrinsic absorption in the near infrared region due to its basic material structure. Why this loss is occurring? Loss is occurring because of the photon absorption. And when the photon will be absorbed, when the photon matches the material structure properties, isn't it? Maybe the band gap energy, or maybe the molecular dimensions, because it resonates if the dimension of the molecule and the wavelength of the photon matches. It resonates. Resonance means they interact. Photon will be absorbed by the material whenever the material structure dimensions, molecular dimensions matches. In case of pure glass, silica glass, intrinsic absorption is near infrared, because silica glass matches with the near infrared region wavelengths. This is due to that material structure. However, it does have two major intrinsic absorption mechanism at wavelengths which leave a low intrinsic absorption window over 0.8 to 1.7 micrometer wavelength range. This is important. So it is having the infrared region absorption glass, but it has the two major intrinsic absorption mechanisms, and the wavelengths at wavelengths which leave a low intrinsic absorption window. So there is absorption from one wavelength to other wavelength. So suppose, so here it may be 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, 0.03, 0.8, isn't it? So this may be 0.8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this may be 1.7, and there may be 2, 4, 3, 4, far infrared, isn't it? Wavelengths. So between 0.8 to 1.7 it offers minimum loss, very less loss, and again it will increase on below 0.8 and above 0.7 it is increasing. That's why it offers very less loss. That's why 0.8 to 1.7 it is chosen as optical communication window. Okay, 0.8 to 1.7 micrometer is, we remember na, we have discussed this, which is optical communication window. 0.8 to 1.7 is optical communication window in this wavelength range. Okay, so which is having minimum loss if you consider loss on the y-axis. Okay, so that's why this window is selected. Along with this absorption loss, some other losses are there: Rayleigh's losses, Rayleigh scattering loss, other scattering loss, then ultraviolet absorption, infrared absorption, all these are there. All these combined together is having minimum effect in this window, 0.8 to 1.7. That's why 0.8 to 1.7 is selected for optical communication as a optical communication window. Okay, so this is the reason why we have optical communication window 0.8 to 1.7, isn't it? Optical communication window 0.8 to 1.7 micrometer wave. So in detail we'll check this after in next lecture. So we have absorption losses, these absorption losses, then 1 or 2 points are there remaining. So probably tomorrow we will finish this 5th chapter, most probably, and then 6th chapter we will have networks, optical networks. As these lectures are virtual lectures and you are having the facilities like that app on which you can observe lecture, but as compared to app on YouTube, if you go on YouTube you will get the quality, writing etc. is very clear if you observe. There is no problem of the slide font, because slide font is kept very broader, large, but while the writing you may get the problem on the mobile, or you can get the clarity also, that is not problem. But if you observe on the PC, the app screen becomes blurred. Okay, the resolution problem is there. But if you go for the YouTube, you can have the better resolution. That's what I am calling it as a quality enhanced. So some of the lectures are not quality enhanced, it is just downloaded from the app and uploaded on the YouTube, so that will not get the quality. But quality enhancement I have started from some lectures which are we have started whenever this connection was there. So anyways, first thing to remember is we are having the term end on 14. So 14 to 4-5 days we have to have the examinations. Before 14 up to 13 we have to complete all the submissions, term works, all subject and project also. So I will share the Word file on the classroom, project classroom. So same project classroom we will use, minor project classroom. Is it okay? Or we will generate new one? So let us generate new one because grades are to be given. Na? So I will generate it and share the link. You will join it immediately today only for the classroom, project classroom, so that you can register. Think of the project. You might have thought the project. So project must be very, very small because you are doing individually. Do not take just like the minor project. Repeatedly I was telling in the minor project, no one is in the this to listen, isn't it? So everybody was just rushing to have large projects, and I was trying to tell you that do not take such a large project as a minor project because those are minor, and you have to emphasize on the seminar that time. So anyways, minor projects were very good, but now you have to individually have the project, and now due to this pandemic conditions you have to have the simulation project. You can go for the case studies, no problem, but case studies better for our diploma student than case studies is the simulation project, because you are all knowing the simulation also for various subjects, various labs we have done the simulation. From second year you are dealing with the simulation, and now we are having the this microcontroller kit also, that is open source software and hardware students are knowing. They have done the practical on that. That kit is available with very low cost. That's why many students use, and that kit is sufficient, and it is having very good facilities for making the project. Some of the other kit also is there, that is Raspberry Pi, but we do not go for that this time because it requires the introduction of the kit and the workshop is needed. But you can go for Arduino kit, which is used by the students in the practicals of the open source software hardware, and on the Arduino kit you can assemble, or you can organize, rather not assemble, organize your project using the base Arduino. So you can use Arduino and you can assemble the organize the project around it. You can atomize it, or can make some automatic operations. You can sense the parameters and you can control the parameters, etc. So it is very easy. And for the Arduino, the simulation softwares are available, many available. In our practical open source software hardware, we have used Tinkercad, and how to use that Tinkercad on my this YouTube channel I have uploaded the videos how to use that Tinkercad, how to do the project practicals also, how to do some 4-5 practicals the students have done. So how to use that IDE also, those to understand how this work. You can if you are having the laptop, you can download the IDE of the this Arduino, that is software of Arduino, and you can do in that software in the on the laptop. You can do the simulation on the mobile also. I have uploaded the YouTube this video how to use the simulation software Tinkercad for the Arduino using the laptop, using the desktop. Okay, if you search on my YouTube channel, you will get that. and if you search on the other, you can also get many more. So you can go for Arduino, you can use the software of Arduino, okay, development software of Arduino. It is free of cost, just download it and use it. You can, how to use that software, those videos, I think 8-9 videos I have uploaded, okay, very detailed discussion is there, how to use that software, how to install it, how to use that. All the videos are available. If you are subscriber on my YouTube channel, you can immediately you can get to know all this, or otherwise you visit the channel, you can also get all these videos. Then the Tinkercad is also there along with the software of Arduino. Software of Arduino is also there, which you can install on the PC. And Tinkercad is a simulation environment in which you can select the Arduino, you can select the components, you can select the register, variable register, you can select the motors, and you can write the code, and you can run the code to have the various register value, how motor is register is changed, and how the motor direction is changed, how the motor speed is changed, etc. And to that motor action you can allot the door opening, window closing operations, or you can allot the robo moving operation, robo reversal moving, forward moving, robo turning operation, etc. Many things you can do. So same motor you can call it as a conveyor belt motor, same motor you can call it as some other. So in this way you can go for the simulation. So you have to do individual projects, okay. So if you want, we can have the online session also today only, evening or any time, if you suggest me on the project, so that individually if you are having any query, it can be sorted, okay. If you want, we can have the online session also for how to use that Tinkercad, how to use that ID, how to install that ID. It is already there on the YouTube. Go and watch on the YouTube, so that it is very easy and you will get confidence how to use it. Of course, that OSSS student already knowing, you can take the help of the OSSS students also. Your friends which are in the OSSS, you can take the help of them and you can understand what is and how it is to be used. So complete the project simulations early, and I have shared the optical fiber journal. Write it immediately and solve all the quiz. I am releasing today also 1 or 2 quiz from the 4th chapter, and next we will start with the 5th chapter. So let us meet tomorrow. I am stopping this now. Thank you.